Hey guys, what's up? Mike from Nerd Problems Gaming here, and welcome to Nerd Problems Gaming. In today's video, I'm going to go through a retro review of Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls for the Game Boy Advance, so stay tuned. So a while back, I had done a review on the original Final Fantasy game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. While Final Fantasy 1 for the Nintendo Entertainment System is definitely one of my favorite games ever, as you can tell, this version of the game is probably one of my favorites as well. They fix a lot of the things that I didn't like from the original, and then also you get Final Fantasy 2 as well, which wasn't released in the US for many years until they actually made this remake. So I really like this version of the game as well. So some of the things that I like that they fixed from the original version, one, you can buy multiple items at once. I know that was one thing that was definitely annoying and frustrating, having to buy one potion at a time. It would take you maybe 10-15 minutes just to be able to fill up your inventory on things like antidotes and potions and softs, different things like that. So they've definitely fixed that, which is cool. I feel like there's maybe less of a balance in the gameplay where if you picked all fighters, for example, as your starting team, you could really overpower the game. Where this one, there's a lot better balance, so you can really pick and choose your own team to have different benefits and weaknesses, whatever the case is, because there's a lot of different additions that this game makes as well, making it more balanced, where, for example, you don't necessarily have those individual spell levels. You sort of do in a way, but you actually have MP now that you can use on different spells, so you don't have to worry about as much each spell that you have. So you can get a lot more magic, a lot more use out of the spells to heal your team as well, which is great. On top of that too, the graphics have been souped up. They're more of a Super Nintendo 16-bit graphics, which is cool. I definitely like the original graphics, but it's kind of cool to see an update as well and see that version. On top of that, one of the things I really like is they actually explain what the spells do, which is nice, where in the original game you really have no idea unless you have the original booklet that breaks down everything, that explains what all the spells do. So that's nice to have if you're new to the franchise, or you maybe have missed spells that you never really took advantage of in the first game because you really had no idea what they did. They updated the monster graphics, which is cool. You can see the full names. You can have a name that's bigger than basically 4 or 5 letters, which is nice. So you can really customize your own characters as well. What's cool also with this remake version is that they raised the level cap so you can build your team higher. You can get more experience. The game, I feel like, can be a lot longer because they've added in extra bonus dungeons. So as you progress throughout the game, you can get access to special dungeons, which is new. They're different every time, so you can actually go through over and over again. You can get different items that'll upgrade like your character's strength or defense or agility, speed, different things like that, which is cool. So you can get those items that are dropped, as well as rare items as well as you go through the dungeons multiple times. And then there's special equipment and basically special ultimate weapons that the original game didn't have as well, where, again, like I talked about earlier, kind of brings that balance in, because some characters, if you max out their level in the original game or got pretty far, they weren't really that strong, and some were much stronger than others. Well, this can give you the opportunity to create kind of whatever team you want and do very well throughout the game. So I definitely highly recommend checking out this version of Final Fantasy, the first game. It's a great addition to the series. And then also on for Final Fantasy 2. Now, this was really the first time I ever played this version of the game. I know that there's different translated versions out there that you can find. That'll be the original NES version, but haven't really played those, just mainly played this one. So as for this game, this is kind of a cool, unique twist on the Final Fantasy series, where you basically will level up based on how you actually use your spells, your attacks, your weapons. So every single basically thing in the game. Speed, agility, magic, spells, weapons, different things like that. They all have their own individual level, and the more that you use them, the more you can actually level up those characters, which is really cool. So you can customize your own team. You could have someone that's kind of more of a monk category, right? They're fighting unarmed, but maybe have them be like a white mage monk so they can learn cure and heal and antidote, pure, different things like that. So that's kind of a cool ability to create your own custom characters in that sense. At the same time, some of the things I didn't really like about this game is that certain abilities are really overpowered, where I found you can attack yourself, which is kind of cool, to level up different aspects like your hit points, your defense, your ability, like your attack, your strength, how proficient you are with different weapons. So that's kind of cool. So you can, if you're struggling in the beginning, or maybe you just want to grind things out and really get your character super strong before you dive into the game, you can just sit outside the first town and really make yourself super strong by attacking your own characters. The only downside to this system is what I found is magic, where it's incredibly hard to level up spells. And if you're doing anything where you're attacking yourself, or you're even just progressing naturally throughout the game, I feel like if you're unarmed, like having no weapons whatsoever and nothing equipped, you can do serious amounts of damage even being relatively weak in the game, and it's very overpowered. And I just found myself the whole time, every time I play through this game, I beat it multiple times, but every time I find that I play it, I never really use magic because it's so incredibly weak. I only use it in certain scenarios where I have to on certain bosses throughout the game. But other than that, it takes way too long to level up the magic spells, and I just find myself never really using them. And I'd much rather just attack with nothing, basically, or with different weapons throughout the game. I like the ability how you can customize each character to your liking, making them a black mage, a white mage, a combo of both, fighter focused, no weapons, whatever you want, which is really cool. That aspect is nice, but at the same time, mainly what happens is, spoiler alert, I guess, as you go throughout the game, you'll be getting different fourth characters, and they kind of rotate throughout the game. And then based on the story and what's going on, people will come onto your team and leave your team. And that's one thing I found that was kind of frustrating, where I found that I would level up that fourth person, and then it'd reach the point of the story, and then they'd leave the team. Or they might come back later, they might not. And so that was kind of lame, I guess, in that sense, where I'd level up and make that character good, only to lose them a little bit later. And, this version of the game, which is cool, there's an extra story after you beat it, where you can reuse some of those characters, so you'll keep your abilities and your stats that you'd built up with those characters at that point. But I know in the original game, that didn't exist at all, so you'd basically just lose these characters as you played them throughout the game. So I didn't like that aspect of it, when most of the time, now that it's been my second, third, fourth, whatever the case is, playthrough of the game, I just pretty much ignore that fourth character the whole time, because I know that they're not going to be around very long, so why waste my time even trying to make them strong? So I wish there was an option maybe where they could have stayed around, or you could switch those out or make a combination of the team, but again, it's one of the original ones in the whole series. So again, they've expanded on the series since then, but just some of the things that I didn't necessarily like about the game, but it's super addictive. I really like it because, again, you can create your character however you want, level up what you want, and customize that. But again, the downsides I'd find were basically that magic wasn't really worth using throughout the entire game, and then you can really make overpowered characters without any weapons at all. So you can basically start like that throughout the game. You're going to be able to take out most bosses in a couple hits if you're grinding that out and leveling up your character just without weapons. So I wish there was more options to really use weapons and get good with it, but for the most part, that's the most powerful thing I found as I play throughout the game. So again, though, I definitely recommend checking out both of these games. They're two of my favorites, and I like the combination of it, the remake that they did. The music's better, the graphics are better. I'm partial to the 8-bit graphics as well, but it's kind of cool to see that update. But a lot of the features that I didn't like, for example, from the first original Final Fantasy game, they fixed and have made it more like the later games. And then also with the extra bonus features and content after the game, or in the first game like Final Fantasy, throughout the game, those extra dungeons, make these a great game to pick up if you haven't played through this one yet. So again, guys, that's my review on Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls. I'd highly recommend you pick it up. If definitely worth a playthrough. But thanks for tuning in, and if you haven't done so yet, feel free to follow us over on Twitter at NerdProblemGame. And then again, if you haven't subscribed yet as well, feel free to comment and subscribe below as well to access the new videos that I bring out: retro reviews, nerd movie reviews, board game reviews, unboxings, let's plays, and more that we feature on this channel. But thanks again for tuning in, guys. We'll talk to you more soon.